Sometimes people ask me, what was it like to spend 11 years on this biomechanical journey? And I think some people expect to hear me talk about like lots of physical pain or the fact that I miss the aesthetics because it changed the way I looked quite a bit over time. And when I think about it, I don't think about any of that stuff. Like it just doesn't really matter. Those are nice to haves. But the thing that ate at me more than anything else was watching myself become a shadow of who I used to be and who I could be, and knowing that I couldn't really go back to it. As you do that, you're just watching all these people that I can compete with them, like I'm as good or better than them at work or whatever, but you're not in that condition, right? So you're just watching these people beat you time and time again until finally you kind of accept that you're a shadow of yourself. And that's kind of like a horrible thing to accept. I want to give a little bit of context. So who I was before 2014. 2014 is when a dentist drilled my teeth and a lot of bad stuff happened. But who I was before 2014, I was a person who loved life. I had some health issues ever since my early 20s and drilling my wisdom teeth. But still, I was able to function pretty well. And I was a pretty good looking guy, pretty social, had traveled all over the world, lived in Japan and London and Spain and Russia and Ukraine, and had a lot of fun and had a pretty decent career. And so the couple years before 2014, I was living in Ukraine. This is like 2011, 12. I was country manager of Groupon when Groupon was really sexy and cool back in 2011. Had a team that was at its height, over 100 people. We were one of the hottest companies in the world at the time, and I thought I was on top of the world, right? That was the Ken on my initial trajectory. And then a couple years later, I'd moved to Vietnam. This TMJ dentist in Vietnam had drilled my teeth and everything fell apart. I couldn't retain information. I had to ask to be demoted 2 levels at my job, which was Lazada at the time. You cannot imagine that fall, right? From being a country manager, having a team of over 100 people, you feel like you're on top of the world. And then a couple years later, you're demoted. You demote yourself to the level of almost entry level, right? Kids that are in their early 20s are doing the same function and they're looking at you like you're an idiot because I couldn't retain information, right? And I was already late 30s at that point and I had a good education. I'd worked hard my entire career. And here I was mid-career and I felt I just completely imploded. So that was a horrible experience. And it didn't matter how hard I tried. When I was in that state where I couldn't really retain information, it was like treading water. You could put in all the effort you wanted and it wasn't going to matter much. And it's like getting hit over the head every single day, so that until you accept it. But I wouldn't accept it. That was part of who I was. It was I wasn't going to accept this new state. I was going to get back to my former self and even beyond, regardless of whatever it took. And the other thing I'd say is when that collapse or that decline happens, if you get hit by a car or you have cancer or something, people can visibly see. They feel sorry, they understand, okay, you had cancer. But on this stuff, you can't explain it, right? You can tell the story that, oh, okay, this dentist drilled my teeth, but nobody's gonna understand it, right? They're just gonna look at you and say, okay, you fell apart, you couldn't hack it, or you just got older. That's what they're going to conclude to themselves, right? And that even your close friends and your family are going to conclude that without telling you. It just looks like this natural evolution down. And that's very frustrating because you know that there's other outside forces involved about why that is happening to you, right? But nobody else believes you. And one metaphor I like to make is it's almost like what I imagine being in a coma to be like, right? You're this other person who's a poor shadow of your former self, and you can see everything going on around you, but you cannot be the person that you were because you're stuck in this beaten state almost, right? Or just like a coma. And all you can do is either accept it or fight your way back. One thing I like to credit is, my wife had a son in 2014, right around the time that all this happened. And so I had the motivation of seeing my son every day. It was just a little baby. And I knew, okay, like we're just on the beginning of our journey. I'm not going to give up, right? Like I want to be a great father. I still have a lot. I want to be a proud person when my son becomes an adult. And to do that, I cannot just accept this fate. And so he became a major motivation for me. It didn't matter how much I was going through. I'd see my son, he would just be like a constant reminder, like, no, you're going to push yourself. And despite that, like I used to have these, when I was doing bad in 2014, I'd have these crazy thoughts like I was gonna have to just work in McDonald's for like through my whole middle ages, like imagine like the thought of like I graduated in Ivy League school, had these great jobs, and then imagine the thought of you're just gonna have to work in McDonald's your entire 40s and 50s, right? Like that's a horrible, horrible thought. But when you feel that in that state and your brain is so smashed because of these biomechanics, that thought becomes very real, trust me. And the only way to come back is to actually come back, right? Like there's no such thing as convincing people that you were harmed or that this is not your fault. Like they're just going to like ignore that. So the only way you can truly convince them that all this happened is to come back, achieve the things that become the person that you were and even beyond. And that is the approach that I'm taking. Is like, I don't care about convincing anyone of anything that happened anymore. I don't even talk about it with most people. But I'm going to show them that I'm coming back. And that's what I'm doing, for the last few years. I come back. Like I work almost like a machine. I'm 47. I go from about 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day. I don't get sick. I don't burn out. Why do I do that? Not just to like be able to say, like I have goals. Like I want my company to do well, right? And I'm going to push whatever needs to be pushing. And luckily I feel healthy enough to do that. And so whatever that is for you, that is my recommendation. Like if this biomechanical stuff hits you over the head for years and now you're starting to come back with a revive, don't go and try and like convince the world that now you're healthier, but like take all that convincing it, channel it into achieving your goals. And then as you achieve those goals and you show that you're healthier and happier and you don't even pay attention to these people who are not believing, they're going to notice. Trust me. My friends, my family, like I don't even try to convince them. They're like, I am sure that they're annoyed just having to watch me because I act like I'm 20 years younger than I used to be. Closing thoughts. Sometimes I meet with people that knew me back when I was having these issues, right? Like 2015, 2016. Maybe they're visiting Thailand. They want to stop by and say hi and they're friends. And they meet me and I think like I get this sense that like they think that I'm the person I was. And it's not like I'm trying to like prove that I'm some other person. But like I do think after like a half an hour, they realize, wow, this isn't the guy that I knew in 2014, 15, 16. My view of the person that was there in 2014, he was a weak person. Not because of his own fault, but like what is facing them now is more like this beast animal who just wants to like, bust through everything that goes standing in his way until I achieve my goals. Like that is my mindset. And like anybody that meets me now, like that is probably what they're going to take away. Like I'm not this nice little guy who was there back in the day and was like trying to be nice. No, like I'm the person that's like, if you stand in my way, I'm going to go right through you. Right. And that is my mindset. And I think that is what this process does to you. And I cannot even begin to describe just how great that is. Thank you.